Hello and welcome everybody to the Omni-Channel Pillar Content Distribution Challenge. I will be your host, Darby Rollins, throughout this challenge and joined by additional experts from our community, including Kelly Tenney and a number of other coaches and members of the community who will be sharing and engaging in this challenge. I'm excited for this challenge because we're going to be going live and we're going to be getting a lot of work done over the next 30 days here inside of the community with a number of different ways for our members to participate, to share, and to grow together. So thank you for joining me here on today's kickoff call. We'll be walking through the structure of the challenge and what you can expect as you join us here throughout the month of April. Welcome in, everybody, and thank you for joining with us here live. Great to see you all tuning in. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Those here live, we see Tyrese, Rachel, Gina, Desiree, Derek. Good to see you all. And I hope everybody is having a great kickoff to the month so far. I'd love to hear what you guys are going to be working on and what are you most excited for throughout this challenge and what you are ultimately hoping to gain from this challenge. I know on our end, we've created a lot of content over the past 90 days. We did our initial launch of the Buyer's Brief book middle of March. And now we are using this challenge to essentially take all the content that we've created over the last 90 days, identify the top pieces of content that we want to focus on, and then getting those content pieces either distributed just specifically on YouTube, but also then redistributing those pieces of content to other platforms like Pinterest, like LinkedIn, like Meta, Instagram, Facebook, potentially TikTok for us, as well as X. But we're going to be focusing on a few core channels for getting our audience, our content out there to growing our audience, but also doing this alongside the community where everyone else is looking to get the content they have created within the podcast challenge and getting it out there to the world and to growing our reach in our businesses. So great to see you guys tuning here with us live. I'm going to go ahead and check the chat. Make sure that I can see you guys tuning in. Gina tuning in from San Francisco. Great to see you. Tyree is looking forward to repurposing the challenge you created in March. Absolutely. Tuning in from Phoenix, Arizona. All right, guys. Well, it's great to see you guys here today. And we can go ahead and jump into it to kick things off here in just a minute. But ultimately, this challenge is going to be pretty straightforward, and there's going to be a few ways that you are going to be able to join free, of course, if you're a part of our community, especially with any paid membership. This challenge is going to be open and available to you. We do have individual tickets for sale for 30 days access to the full community during this month specifically, but we're also opening up just the challenge space itself so that if you're just kind of looking to test the waters out inside of our community and are interested in the type of content that we are creating here in terms of helping our members create great content and growing their business with AI, then we're going to be making just the challenge group specifically available as a sort of trial test period for those that are interested in learning more about what the community is all about, but maybe aren't ready for committing to full access to all of our resources and everything that you have access to as one of our members of the community. And so all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and give you guys a little bit of a walkthrough of what you can expect over the course of the challenge. And as you'll start to see more things popping up here in the in the next few days, especially this first week as we're kicking things off. I want to make sure that you guys can see my screen real quick. Can I just get a quick yes or something inside of the chat? Make sure that you guys can see my screen. You should see it introducing the Omni-Channel Pillar Content Distribution Challenge. Just a little quick. Okay, Tyrese, thank you guys for confirming that you can see this. And so I'm going to go ahead and quickly highlight my cursor and so you guys can see where I'm going to be walking through here. And the way we broke this challenge down is initially we had it a little bit more content for this initial 30 days, but we realized that we wanted to kind of chunk it up a little bit more so that it was a bit more bite-sized and a bit more manageable because, as you know, if you've been a part of our community for the past few months, we've been really focused on the video podcast production challenge and getting more content produced in terms of video, but leveraging the buyer's brief to identify the content roadmap, the audience that you're going to be serving, and going through and creating content. So if you've already created a video podcast or content in the past, February or March of the first quarter, then you've already got a lot of the first week done and out of the way. But if you haven't, then we're going to be starting from one, who are you going to be creating content for, and what's the strategy behind that, and helping each other along those ways. So the content roadmap that you're going to see here is I'm going to be posting this inside of the community. I'll happily share this document with you guys as well. But basically, this is exactly what the event from today's call was. So I'm just going to be walking through what this is going to be. This is not going to be a day by day, step by step type of thing where we have everything completely dialed in and locked in to, just we don't have it totally step by step and broken down that way. And I did that on purpose because, quite frankly, I don't think there is an exact step by step process for anything, especially, well, not for anything, but for the content that we're going to be producing. It's more of the framework for what we're going to be breaking down on the 4 weeks for getting the content created and then getting it out onto these different platforms. But the reason I'm saying it's not step by step specifically is because depending on your audience, your reach, your goals, and where you're at, then it's going to be there's no one size fits all. But ultimately, we're needing to determine a few core things that this 4 week roadmap is going to help us with breaking down. So let me go ahead and start. So with just the basic overview of what this challenge is. So the purpose of this challenge, you're going to be learning how to selecting the most relevant platforms for your target audience and content type. You're going to be repurposing your existing content for each platform, optimizing for visuals and for the format and the messaging. Then we're creating a distribution plan that leverages each platform's unique features. And some of this stuff, I'm in the process of putting it together with other experts inside of our group and our community that have much more experience in specific channels, whether it's organic or whether it's paid. And they've already shared that they're going to be open to sharing some of their processes for distribution. And so that's the type of stuff that you can expect to be coming inside of especially this first week as we get everything up and rolling and start to make that daily progress forward. And also the key performance indicator to tracking success. And a lot of this is going to come down to, again, what are your goals? What is your audience? Where are they at? And things of that nature. And so what you're going to achieve going through this challenge over the next 30 days is a multi-platform content distribution strategy. You're going to have repurposed content pieces for multiple selected platforms, and then you have insights and results from your distribution efforts. And so, again, the gain from this is the strategies that you're developing. They're going to be based on content pillars that are designed to resonate with your audience. You're going to learn different techniques for adapting your content in various platforms. And all of this stuff, again, as we're going through here, remember that this is building skills in terms of workflows, systems, automations, and frameworks that will help as you go through this process, that you can rinse and repeat it and get better and better and better, and then also iterate on the process so that you can improve and get better over time. And so while we're doing all of this and putting this content and these ideas into action, we're going to be creating distribution plans tailored to your specific business goals. You're going to be gaining insights and best practices for optimizing your content performance across channels. Then you're going to be also, of course, at Generative University alongside a supportive community of like-minded individuals, different creators and leaders in your respective fields, collaborating and to learn. And so how you can participate in this challenge, many of you here right now with us live, part of the community. It is free for all community members. You have access to pretty much everything inside of the community in terms of our training and our workflows and different things like that. We do also have a 30-day limited to just this first month of April. If you're not a member of the community and you'd like full access to the community, then we've got a 30 days for just $30. Comes out to $1 a day to join not only just this challenge, but you have access to our whole trainings and workflows and vaults. But we've also introduced just a free level where you can access to just the basic access to our community, just free access, join the challenge, get the 30 days access. And then, if you want to continue to unlock all access to the community and, everything else that we offer here at Generative University, that will be available to you as well. But again, a lot of the replays will be available inside of the community. You'll have access to it a number of different ways. And most importantly, why are you going to be investing your time and your energy and your resources into a challenge like this? Well, again, we're wanting to gain these actionable insights and strategies so you could elevate your content marketing efforts. You want to learn from other experts and peers in the industry through workshops, Q&A sessions, and community forums that you'll be seeing and getting access to inside of this challenge. Be able to apply these learnings in real time and see actual measurable results with your business. And again, developing this long-term content distribution strategy that will continue to drive growth for you above and beyond the challenge. And so that's my goal for putting this challenge on, so that I can help you and that the community can help our members level up your content production skills, but not just producing content just on the creation side, but how do you actually get it out there and utilize this content to grow your audience? And so the highlights of the week and what the big focus is going to be on is in week one is laying the foundation. And so throughout the first week and what you'll be seeing over the next few days, as it's April 1st right now, we're kicking off week one. We're discovering the power of content pillars and how they can transform your marketing strategy. You're learning proven techniques for identifying your target audience, understanding their needs, and then creating content pillars that showcase your expertise and resonate with your audience. Now, again, if you've been following the last few months at Gen AIU, this is basically a condensed version of our video podcast production challenge. Some of you guys completed that challenge and you've been producing content online in the form of video content for your podcast. Fantastic. Kelly Tenney actually produced her entire Woman Who AI Summit onto her YouTube channel and completed that challenge. And we covered it in our last Creator Plus or our Creator Gen AI Creator Boot Camp call just last week. But essentially, if you haven't gone through the video podcast production challenge, and if you don't have a piece of pillar content, what I mean by pillar content is that really targeted, focused piece of content. Let's just say it's an hour-long workshop that really articulates your expertise and builds rapport and educates your audience, and is something that you can repurpose again and again because it has lasting value. Ideally, it's evergreen, and you're able to refer back to it as you're growing your audience, you're expanding your reach, and you're getting more people aware of who you are and what you do. And it's building your authority on a particular subject. It's building a relationship with your audience, and it's delivering value in advance. And so this could come in the form of micro courses and books and podcasts, a number of different things. But ultimately, the technique that we use for identifying your target audience, understanding their needs, is that of the buyer's brief, and creating one of these buyer's briefs for the buyer's blueprint, the strategic brief, creating micro content around that, your brand strategy guide, all your brainstorming questions. This gives you that foundation to know who my audience is, what are the biggest pain points, the needs, the fears, and the desires that they are currently experiencing, and how can you create content that resonates with that. And so step one in week one is really going to be creating that buyer's blueprint and your entire buyer's brief, and then using that brief to identify, this is my audience, this is the content that we need to create around it, and then actually creating that content in the first place. And then we're going to move on to week two, adapting and planning for success. And so this is going to include mastering the art of repurposing your content and your pillar content for various platforms and formats, and then developing a comprehensive content distribution plan that is leveraging each platform's unique features. We'll also be talking about setting up, tracking, and monitoring to measure your content's performance and identifying areas for improvement. Because again, just creating content and throwing it out there online is just one step of the process. But with that content and how we're putting it out there, you want to have a plan for distributing it on a regular basis. We go through the whole process once. If you've never gone through a process of creating a video, putting it on YouTube, and then taking that content, chopping it up into multiple pieces, and repurposing that to multiple platforms, then that at the very least, if you can accomplish just that workflow inside of this challenge, then that's a massive win and a massive step forward. But once we get the content out there, and once we start to get some feedback and some data, we can take that data back in and we can utilize that to identify areas for improvement, things that are resonating more with our audience, and ultimately things that we can utilize to improve our content marketing strategy to produce better content and continue to grow and scale. So once we're done with week two, then we're going to be moving into week three, which is unleashing your content's potential. So we're putting this plan into action, and then hopefully we're going to watch your reach soar. And again, this is a consistent thing. You got to commit to being going through the process and actually putting stuff out there online and going and learning and being willing to adapt with new tools and new updates as AI comes into play. But there's going to be a few core tools that we're going to be utilizing here inside of this challenge. And again, we're going to be posting all of those here inside of the community as we kick things off. And so, as we're doing that in week 3, we want to be talking about engaging with your audience across these channels to actually build lasting relationships. Because look, just posting on to, let's say, YouTube, Meta, LinkedIn, X, Pinterest, all the different channels, posting it and getting it out there is a big step forward. But if you're not now on social media and engaging with your audience and interacting with folks that are commenting, that are asking questions, then you're going to be missing out on a lot of opportunity to again build those relationships and then expand your reach because you're actually being social on social media. And so it's going to be part of what we're talking about with week 3. And then, how do we engage with that? How do you understand the metrics on YouTube and these different platforms with the metrics that we have available to us? To leading us into the last week of the challenge is going to be reflecting, analyzing, and growing. And so going to be reflecting on the content that we've put out, diving deep into the content's performance, uncovering valuable insights, identifying the most successful pieces of content and the channels that are working better for you. And then again, leaning back into what's the long-term strategy based on your learnings and your plans for future growth. So of course, if you're not a part of our community and you're seeing this somewhere else online, we would love to have you sign up and join our community. There's going to be a number of ways that you can do that by going to our website, genaiuniversity.com. Ultimately, as we're going throughout our community, there's going to be a few ways that we're going to be seeing content inside of this, how we're going to be interacting here. And again, like this is April 1st. This is the very first kickoff of this challenge. And so this is going to be the start of everything. I'm coming off of a weekend at a wedding with one of my best friends, Austin Distel, who's the CMO, one of the guys that helped start Jasper originally. And so, getting ready for this challenge, going through, the wedding and everything, we're back in the saddle today, and everything's going to start getting up and running here inside of the community. And so, what it's going to look like is ultimately seeing the live events here inside of the events calendar that you guys should be getting added to. If you're part of our community, free or paid, you'll have access to seeing when these live events are going to be going. And then after we wrap up this kickoff call, I'm going to be posting the replays and the additional resources that we're going to be sharing inside of the outline of this challenge, and encouraging members of the community to be sharing, asking questions, sharing wins throughout the challenge. That's all going to be here in this Omni-Channel Pillar Content Distribution Challenge space group inside of our circle community. And so this is where everything is going to happen. All the action is going to happen. Again, if you're a member of our community, you have access to all the additional resources here. And then if you just want that 1 month trial, $30 for 30 days, then the tickets for that are available. And if you can't access those tickets anywhere, then reach out to me, Darby at genaiuniversity.com. But ultimately, inside of this challenge, I was talking with one of our coaches, Coach Kelly Tenney, Director of Wisdom here at Generative University, about how we're going to be structuring this to make the most out of this time. And I realized week 1 is really about setting the stage. Again, identifying our target audience. What are we going to be creating this pillar content on in the first place? And then once we move on to week 2, we're going to be running into a 10-day sprint that we're going to be scheduling to start on the 11th. Okay, April 11th. During our normal boot camp hours, we're going to be kicking off a 10-day sprint where everything between now and the 11th is going to be getting the video content set up for your pillar content, creating your buyer's brief, and then looking into week 2 for setting up that content strategy, identifying your channels. And then we're going to hit the ground running on the 11th. And so for a 10-day sprint, that's where a lot of action is going to be taking place as well. But I didn't want to just jump into it on the first without giving people some time to understand and where they want to be heading with their initial strategy in the first place, for settling in with the buyer's brief, for creating that initial roadmap, and then also creating the initial piece of content that you're going to be getting and redistributing out there onto your channels. And so all of that said, we've got a lot of content here over the next 30 days that are going to be designed to support you in getting that content that you've already created, hopefully, or that you will be creating in this first week, getting it onto your pillar or your anchor channel where in our case it's YouTube. In a lot of cases I would recommend YouTube as that for the longevity of your video content. But it could just be a blog that you're creating if you're not doing video content. So creating that initial pillar content and then creating a plan for how do we take that content and then repurpose it. So you can expect to see some custom GPTs that we'll be sharing inside of this community, some tools such as one that's a very popular and powerful tool called Opus Clip that would be is great for helping to very quickly chop up and identify highlights inside of longer form content, and so that you can create that content, a bunch of pieces of content, let's say 10 pieces of content from 1 hour long video, and taking that content and then moving it into other channels where you can then effectively get in front of your audience, engage with your audience, and grow your business as a result of getting in front of more of your audience. And so that is the idea behind the omni-channel content distribution. And at the end of the day, this is going to be a community event. This is not a, hey, look at Darby creating a bunch of content and posting it, and let's just watch and see how this happens and not take action on it. No, this is very much, I want you to take action. I want you to share where you are going. What are your goals? Where are you struggling right now? What are the wins that you're finding? What are the tools that you found useful for? And having and a community and an environment throughout the next 30 days that is truly rising the tide of all of us inside of the community, rising all the ships and lifting everybody up so that we can all adapt as, you know, as things change with the world of AI, and that we can integrate these different tools into our workflows, dial in our workflows, and grow our business. And so that said, guys, I'm super excited about where we're going to be heading over the next 30 days. And to reiterate, the purpose of this challenge is to take the next step from what we did with the video podcast challenge, because we've got content out there. We're maybe posting it on certain channels, but how can we expand our reach to be seen even more and be really everywhere all at once, so that, you know, we're not just getting, not just missing out on a lot of opportunity because we're simply not putting our content in places that we can, you know, capture more attention and, you know, grow our business as a result. After this, for these next 30 days inside of April, we've got the next stage of our community challenges that's going to happen in April, May. That's the month that comes after April. We've got a whole nother challenge that we're planning for the month of May as well, that's going to build on what we're doing in this challenge. And so, you know, as we've developed this challenge and we've talked with members in the community, is this is how we can create these challenges to build on top of each other, to be the dominoes that as we start to build that momentum, we can keep building on top of that momentum. And we will most certainly be providing recipes for content creation inside of this challenge. Rachel, I have a question here inside of the chat box. We will be providing recipes and different things to help you with creating that content. And much of this is going to build off of starting with a buyer's blueprint. But even just this morning, I put on the finishing touches for a micro course GPT that's helping based on a workshop that we did with Coach Kelly little over a year ago. This micro course is this GPT is going to help with taking an existing outline or piece of content and then breaking that down into different pieces of structure that you can utilize for, again, a video for a course or simple blog posts and things of that nature. But it will certainly be having additional recipes and workflows to help you with creating content and getting it out there on the social media channels. And so all of that said, thank you for being here with us live and being a part of the community. And if you're watching this replay, feel free to share and engage inside of the events that we're going to be doing, the Omni-Channel Pillar Content Distribution Challenge event space. And I would love to hear from anyone that's here with us live right now. What are you most excited for over the next 30 days? And if you have a big goal that you're looking to accomplish, I would love to hear what you are looking to accomplish with your goals, and would be happy to invite you up on stage if you are open to sharing on video, or if you want to just share inside of the chats. That is totally cool as well. Again, this is a community-led event. We are curating these spaces so that our members can have the space so that we can all win and grow together. And so, yeah, I would love to hear where you guys are at. I saw you come off the camera, Tyrese. I'm assuming you're game to come on. If you're not, then let me know. But would love to hear where you guys are at and what you're excited for and looking forward to here in this challenge. Tyrese?
Okay, so I know these past few months have been a roller coaster ride for me in all different ways, but I'm thankful for these challenges because now I can get back on track. I didn't know where I was going to start. And so with the podcast challenge, the video podcast challenge, it got me to redirect my mind and get into my mind the different steps that are required. And it's not just that we're throwing information out there, but that we're doing it in a meaningful way so that there is meaningful results from what we're doing. And
Uh,
so
yep.
I want to get my book finished. I want to get a video podcast going. I want to do a bunch of different projects that this framework will really help move forward. And so my goal is to actually just get back on track.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's great for thank you for sharing that as well, because I know that like with all the stuff happening in life and with our businesses and you know, we get pulled in a lot of different directions and it's very, very easy to get pulled a little bit off track. And so, you know, again, that's part of the reason why we're putting on this challenge this month in the way that we are is because, hey, when we get off track a little bit, how can we just make a little few recalibrations, get us back in line, and then making those progress and those steps forward and being able to measure it in a way that's actually meaningful and driving results for our business. So I'm looking forward to hearing where things go with you during the challenge, Tyrese. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anything they want to share about any big goals that you've got? Gina, I see you coming up here. Great to see you, Gina. Yeah, how are things going?
Hey, Darby, nice to see you too. Well, I am drowning in content, actually. I didn't get a chance to do your podcast uh, challenge. I'm going to go back and do that. But in the meantime, my book is done, and
There we
I
go.
thank you.
Congratulations. I love
Thank you.
seeing the cover. I haven't seen it yet, I don't
You
think.
haven't
It
seen the
looks
cover
amazing.
yet. This is actually for me 2 years in the making. I think Darby, you and I have been together, God, I'm almost like 2.5 years now.
Mhm.
Long time. But the book is done, and it is like in my is perfection. It's really, really good. But I also have 10 weeks of a masterclass that I taught to make sure that this content of this book was good. So I've got maybe 25 hours of content from that. I did a road trip, so I've got like 12 videos. And here I am, just swimming in content. And I'm going to be releasing the book. So this is what I'm trying to do now, is make some sense out of all this content so that I can have a book release and then have a life beyond that. So that's why I'm here.
All right. Well, it's great that you've got all the content and congratulations on your book. I know you've been working hard on that for a long time. So fantastic. Way to go. And yeah, I'm excited to see how taking the content that you've got right now, making the most of it and getting it out there and, you know, just getting the results back from that. That's going to be great. Thank you so much for sharing. Kirsch, I see your hand up. How you doing?
Oh, hey, I'm pretty good. Yeah, it's really cool, school. So I'm most excited over the next 30 days to get my book published, okay, since I have it drafted, and that's good. And I also aim to make 30 shorts off a podcast that I just finished. And the editing is mostly done pretty much. And then another podcast I did. I'm gonna upload the shorts to the channel and then hope that that gets me some customers. So those are my goals.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. And I'm looking forward to hearing how that goes for you over the next 30 days. Anybody else? You guys doing here? We got a few more folks in the crowd. Love to hear where everyone else is at and what are you going to be focusing on over the next 30 days so we can all keep each other accountable. And otherwise, let's see. Or any questions that you guys have as well. If there's no, feel no pressure to come up and share if you don't want to. Again, we got about a little bit of time here left. I don't need to hold you guys hostage for if there's nothing for us to chat about. There's going to be a lot of stuff to chat about inside of the group and otherwise. But yeah, this is the kickoff call. Didn't want it to be like super like technical tool heavy, but if we have questions about anything in particular, would love to see if we can help get those answered right now. I'm sure one person has a question, others might. So Tyrese, what's up?
I was thinking that I mean I've been part of your community from the beginning, but there might be some people that are not, and so I guess if I'm brand new to the situation, I guess I want to know where do I start with the buyer's brief, and maybe explain a little bit more about that.
Sure. Yeah. So where you guys are going to want to start, and when we're talking about week one, number one thing that again, we've been teaching on this for the past, few months, especially with the launch of the Buyer's Brief book. But ultimately, we need to know exactly who our target audience is at the end of the day. And if you don't know who your customer, your audience is, then the content that you're going to be creating is going to be more guesswork than it is anything else. And so if you haven't created a buyer's brief for yourself yet, or if you don't even know what a buyer's brief is, then I would recommend you go ahead and inside of our community, if you haven't got the book, and if this is your first exposure to who we are and what we're doing, then head on over to genaiuniversity.com/book. You find information about how to get this book in your hands on this book. But if you're a member of the community, if you bought the book, then you've got access to the Buyer's Brief book section, which this in and of itself is a fantastic place that I think everybody that's looking to create content with AI should start, in that you need to know your buyer. You need to know who you're going to be talking to, and then creating a strategic roadmap about how you're going to articulate your message to that buyer. And so inside of this book, it's going to be complementary with additional training and material around creating content with AI, automating workflows, and things of that nature. But in a nutshell, you can watch the Buyer's Brief book launch event, which is a great just 1 hour. Hey, the book was launching here, but we literally created, I think, 10 to 15 different buyers blueprints, a light version of our market sauce workflow, live on this call, and walk you through exactly how to utilize the book itself to create your own buyer's blueprint. And so, and we can give I can give an example of this right now live, but I think it'd be a lot more helpful if you guys just go through the content here and watch it on the replays, and so you can go and stop and pause it and review any of the content that doesn't, maybe you need to watch that again. How did he do that, or otherwise? But ultimately, this book is broken up into 3 different sections. The first section is I can literally just show you the book so you can see exactly what it is. In the manuscript, again, this book is going to be out on Amazon on June 7th. For right now, we've got our version 1 of the manuscript available for our members, so you guys can go ahead and put this recipe into action. And at the end of the day, this book is a beast of an instruction manual for creating these briefs yourself. So utilizing the latest AI tools, and we recommend ChatGPT-4 and Claude 3 Opus right now. Those would be giving you the best results. And of course, if going through and learning this process does take time, I don't want to make it sound like it's just as easy as wishing to have a brief and it's there in your hands in a second, which is why we created an entire productized version of this to do it for you. And the turnaround time on that's about 24 to 48 hours right now. So what this book is, you go through the introduction, it's got a lot of resources and things of that nature, but this is going to walk you through basically the market sauce method, which is the methodology that we use. And ultimately, when it comes to content production, this challenge is another phase of the market sauce method for when it comes to actually getting stuff out there and taking the content back and then filtering it back into creating a buyer's brief. But if you don't know your buyers and you don't have a plan for how you're going to create content for them, then everything else is going to be built on a less than solid foundation. And so we start with the buyer's brief. And what the buyer's brief is a blueprint to detailing your ideal customers. It's a strategic creative brief for guiding your brand's unique selling points and messaging. It's giving you a brand style guide so that you can define your brand look and feel. And also with this is make sure that whenever you're using AI tools or you're working with a team to create content with you, that everyone is staying on brand and on message and the same style, fonts, all of that stuff, especially if you start working with agencies or freelancers. It's time consuming to repeat yourself again and again and again. Here you have it all inside of a document so that it's easy to hand off to anybody and delegate anything that you need to be delegated, or training an AI or a GPT on your own brand voice. But then once you have these three pieces filled out, then we get our social micro content. This is a great way to start, even if you don't want to create a video podcast. Just what are some quick, short, straight to the point types of content that you can create to start getting content out there that are speaking directly to your target audience? And then what are additional brainstorming questions that help you generate innovative marketing ideas? And then throughout this, you can create more insights, and you can utilize what you've got with your brief as a starting point for creating, let's just say, a story brand framework, or like a stadium pitch that we've been doing with the Ultimate Sales Machine, or you name it. A buyer's brief is going to be start one for how we teach the content production process here at Gen AI University. And so what the first part of this book is helping you with defining and knowing, again, who's your target audience? Who are they? Like, what's their goals? What do they want? What industries do you serve? If you can answer these questions initially, then the AI is going to give you much better outputs. And then as you go ahead and answer those questions, I'm scrolling down, we're going to create the blueprint to start. And so this first part is very dense in terms of the amount of content here, because there is a lot of different aspects of this brief, which quite literally would take like hours, if not days, if not weeks, if not months, or never get done going through this process from start to finish without AI. And so AI is an incredibly powerful tool to help. But if you aren't clear on the questions above, then by nature, your messaging is going to be a little bit more off. And so the reason we wanted to have this book be the starting point is because it's an iterative process. You will learn and you adapt over time. You get more data back from your campaigns. You can run multiple briefs. And now you have the instruction manual, the recipe, and the workflow that we literally use in our own business with our clients, and pretty much everyone in our community that's been a part of our community for any amount of time is familiar with this process. And so this is why we start with here. And so the first part's going to show you an example of how we utilize the preface of this book and the reviews that you see in the front of this book to create this initial set of context. And what you'll see here, the product, the segment, the niche, and the context is quite literally informing for these inputs, which are what the prompts are for inside of the AI, to then what are the outputs. And so we're asking inputs in, outputs here. This is all stuff that we are creating and demonstrating inside of this first part with, this is what you can get with these different instructions. And so you go to the goals, the dreams, the desires, and all of that in part one of the book. But if you're ready to rock and roll and start to create your own buyer's brief, which you should be doing inside of this first week if you haven't already, and want to go ahead and start to create your own buyer's briefs on your own, you would go to part two with the recipe. And this is the Market Sauce 9000 recipe, which again, you answer these questions. And this is like just the straight series of prompts, commands, all chained together so that you can utilize them, and you can watch the different trainings that we've got inside of the book section, where you're starting with that buyer's blueprint. And if you fill out your user input, the product, the niche, your segment that you're serving, and the context, then you would then run all of these different sections here for the dreams, the goals, the topics, secondary complaints. Like, these are what are informing your content. You're creating content that's speaking to the problems that your ideal like customers and your buyers are experiencing, and knowing those problems and understanding, okay, what's the symptom of this problem now, and what is the complaints that are holding and keeping them up at night, or maybe what are the fears, what are their goals, like what are they trying to achieve that you can help them with. And at a snapshot, you're generating a ton of content with this. But just like anyone that is cooking in the kitchen, as we use recipes as an example, if you're a chef, you've got access to ingredients. And if you're just starting out as a chef, it's unrealistic to think that you're going to create a 5-star Michelin meal the first try. You've got to experiment with different ingredients. You got to understand that some people have different tastes, and sometimes you need to cater your stuff a little bit differently, and maybe you refine your recipe over time. But ultimately, that's what we're doing when we're interacting with AI, is we're using this blueprint to create the ingredients that will lead you to the creative brief, which is now articulating how you as a business or as a brand, how do you articulate your promise, the problem you're solving, the solution, and then how do you speak to each one of those members of your audiences? And here you can generate, we've got it set up for 10 different segments. I'd recommend at least identifying 3 of these segments if you're getting started with this. At the very, very least, one segment, one audience, who's that perfect buyer, and then understanding, again, what's driving them to buy, and then creating content that is articulating your message in a way that is relevant to the people that you're going to be talking to so that they get me, right? And it should feel like as you go through this process and start to create content that you can kind of get a look inside of what's going on inside of their mind, and in terms of like, are they thinking this? Like, is that really what's driving these people? I never would have even thought of that. Like the perspective that this can bring a lot of clarity to how you position yourself with your target audience. But then you have to test it, right? Like, this is like great, but if you test it out and you test 10 different pieces of content and you realize that like 1 or 2 just crush it and then the other ones just kind of fall flat, well, maybe that tells you something. Maybe it tells you that you should think about, why did that really land? Was there something specific about it? And nothing better than to actually go and talk to your audience with this type of stuff and go and interact with real humans in this process. But again, if we're taking the time to having those conversations and asking the more relevant, meaningful questions out the gate, and we're condensing that down into, let's say, an hour's worth of time instead of a week or a month worth of time in researching, then we're condensing that feedback loop that we can create. And by doing so, we're giving ourselves a quantum leap forward into bringing any idea into market, into testing and validating, and then refining our offers to better serve our audience. So I would start with the buyer's brief at the very first of things. And that's what we're going to be talking about throughout the first week of the challenge. And then again, creating the content for it. So again, a lot of you here on this call have got a lot of content already created. You more than likely have utilized, some version of something inside of this recipe when you're creating content. Like, hey, like, what are they interested in? Like, what problems does my audience experience? And maybe that gave you ideas for your podcast or your book or the courses that you've created. And so again, if going into this challenge for these next 30 days is building off of what we've been doing the last 3 months inside of the community. And so we would start here, and then we're going to move into getting the content onto the different channels, and then understanding the data and the information that we're getting back to making more important decisions. Let me see. Cool. So hopefully that was helpful in terms of a place to start. I would always recommend starting with that buyer's brief. Looking through the questions here, is the podcast channel challenge videos available in the community, and the sections of the recipe available now and where. So Rachel, I believe you've got a membership to the community. So you're going to look through in the buyer's brief book and the market sauce method section of our community. And that will be where the book is at specifically for you. And then, yes, the replays from the video podcast challenge are still up. And that's going to be something I'm working on this week, is kind of cleaning up a little bit of those replays and some of that challenge into its own little hosted course area. But much of the content that was created and the videos that we created inside of that challenge were hosted within our GenAI University boot camp interviews with Coach Kelly, myself, and other members of the community. And so a lot of those videos inside of the podcast challenge, we'd posted some of our immediate community engagement and replays here, and the introduction to the challenge inside of our Creator Plus community. So if you're a member of our Creator Plus community, we've got a number of videos here, and we're setting up goals and updates and things of that nature. But the videos for the accountability calls throughout that first challenge. And again, we're going to be experimenting and expanding on the challenge formats over, again, even this month. We're going to get more dialed in and refined with how we're producing these challenges so that they're easier to go back and reflect on, because, again, a lot of the challenges that we're finding is just having the structure there to come back and then review and then go put in the action. We do the stuff live, and then we refine it, and then we dial it in and get it out there, and, improve on the content inside of our community. So you're all getting this content information first as a member of the community. But if you're a member of the community, you have access to our weekly boot camps. And so inside of the GenAI University Training Vault, is right now where a lot of these challenge videos are. So from that boot camp, we have the call on February 15th and then the call on February 22nd. And those are pretty focused in on the immediate challenge, checking in with members, insights that we were learning, and sharing there for these two initial bootcamp calls. And then the last call of the month, just last week, end of March, was just kind of a wrap up and a recap from where a lot of people, we're still refining and editing their podcast and challenge content, over some time. And I'm in the finishing stages of my own podcast that we were editing for the challenge. A lot of the challenge I was using for myself to hire video editors and vet through that. And so a good chunk of the month of February was me hiring and testing different video editors and working through and finding who I wanted to work with for a longer term engagement and who was not a good fit. And so, yes, hopefully that helps with those questions. Then we'll be refining, and some things will look a little different over the course of the next month inside of our community. I saw a couple other hands go up before I was demonstrating the buyer's brief. I'm not sure if the questions are still out there. Do you have Bill? Can't engage right now. I'm taking a plane soon, so safe flights, safe travels. Says I've done the full buyer's brief and content strategy, 120 pages. I think I have a handle on my avatar. Great work, Bill. I'm in the early stages of writing a book and would like to build an email list and content marketing before the book launch. So develop a book launch strategy. And so fantastic. You've got your buyer's brief done, early stages of writing the book and build up our email list. And so a lot of the content that we're going to be putting out there and producing is going to lead back to something, right? Do you want to grow an email list? Do you want to, I know some people just want to book phone calls through their content, and that's where you want to be driving everybody. But that's part of this first step of the challenge is knowing what's your goal with it, and then how's that content going to be that bridge that helps your ideal customers and clients take the steps necessary to getting to know you, like the know, like, and trust, so that this content in the buyer's brief can help you make your buyers and your customers feel seen, heard, and understood, so that you can connect with them where they're at and help them solve their problems, and create a great impact as you are creating your content. So thank you for sharing that, Bill. Hope you have a safe flight. And as we're coming up on the last few minutes of our call today, we've got a few minutes left. Any other questions, insights, things that you're looking forward to? Feel free to share, but no pressure if not. Excited to kick things off with you guys this month.
Hey, Darby, can you hear me?
Is that Derek?
Yes, it is.
Yes, I can, Derek. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Good. So I just wanted to say I'm looking forward to this challenge. And like Tyree said, building on last month's challenge to use all of the content that we're going to create, not only just for the video podcast, but also for other channels. This is really going to be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Also, we're looking forward to having you here with us, Derek, and taking the next step from last month's challenge. I'm excited to see the results that you get from putting this into action. Thank you. All right. Anybody else?
Quick question before you go. I have the book draft, and I'm wondering if there's a recipe to have the tone in a certain chapter be the tone for the rest of the book. I'm sure I can prompt it, but is there an efficient way to do that kind of use case?
The tone from, can you repeat your question just one more time so I understand? I'm trying to make sure the tone of the voice for updating or editing a chapter, or
yeah, is there a way to have all of my chapters match the tone of one of my chapters?
off the top of my head, if you have one chapter that has the tone that you want, I would run that through something like Claude 3, or maybe ChatGPT 4. But I found Claude is really good at analyzing content and pulling some insights like that as well. So I would go to Claude, I would upload the first chapter, and I would ask it to perform a really detailed tone of voice analysis just on that particular chapter. and to then create a maybe like a style guide that you can use with an LLM to replicate the tone of this chapter. So you're using, yeah, again, like a lot of these AI tools, if they would be used to help with creating these prompts as well. And so if you can have it analyze the content, identify the tone, and then create the instructions for how you would apply that for future tones, then you would have that prompt that you could use with Claude, let's say, for a chapter. Then you could take another chapter that isn't maybe in that right tone, say, hey, rewrite this section of the chapter in this tone of voice, or and have it work on editing a particular piece of content to be more in line with the tone that you're looking for. And that's how I would initially take it. But be open to hearing if anyone else has ideas on that as well.
Thank you.
I've done it where you can just take the chapter, stick it into Claude, and I like Darby's way of doing things. He gets very much into the minutia of the details, and sometimes I don't have the patience for that. So I just put the chapter in there and say, "Okay, Claude, can you figure? This is my tone of voice. Can you tell me what prompt I need to create so that this will then translate to the following documents that I'm trying to create?"
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Diaries. Bill, I see a question about just apps being used during the challenge to look up now. I would say, like, of course, like the two main AI tools that I'm using right now for the content side and doing a lot of the stuff that we're going to be doing in terms of generating the words and the outlines and the ideas and breaking down transcripts are going to be Claude and ChatGPT. But for repurposing video content, I'm a fan of Opus.pro. It's great for using clips. And just this last week, they made an update where you can start to actually schedule directly from Opus. And I think that Opus as a platform is going to be a really, I feel like they've got a lot of really good stuff working for them. And you're able to upload a video transcript directly to Opus. And then it'll take that transcript, and I'll just show you guys. Like, it's a very simple interface, but if you're not wanting to work with or hire a video editor for this necessarily, this would be like kind of like the quick and dirty way of getting it done. But they have plenty of tools built into Opus now that will help with even adding B-roll into your content and adding captions right away. And let me see, we got I have a couple different accounts. And so this is just one we were doing the other day. So you can see here, we uploaded an interview I did with Caitlin. We're working on a book project with her and a member of our community. And so it'll take, let's say, this is about an hour and a half long interview that we did. And Opus took it and it formatted it in the top-down style. And I'm not sure if they have ways to change this type of formatting to square formats or like YouTube formatting. I have to double check. But it'll identify places that it thinks are good hooks. And it's one of the things with AI that sometimes it's not the best at identifying hooks or creating hooks. So this is going to be something that we're going to be talking about, especially when it comes to redistributing the content. But you can create the content, you can get it. And so it automatically will create like captions, it'll create a clip, and you can specify the style and the length of the clip that you want to use, and it'll take out different areas of that clip. And so there's some pretty advanced ways you can use Opus for like identifying specific keywords that you say inside of your video to things that I haven't gone super deep on, but it is a platform that I'm going to be looking at going a lot deeper onto. More ways to kind of use this at the next level than I've been using it right now. A great tool for a video editor or replacing the need for maybe like you going through and manually creating all of these clips inside of Descript to manually do it. But on the flip side, Descript is also a really powerful tool that a number of members in our community have used for quite some time for uploading a transcript of video, creating highlights of that section that you want to create a clip on, and then creating clips inside of Descript. And so from there, I know you can start to schedule content inside of Opus, other platforms like Metricool, is one that I've used in the past, and maybe using that for what we're going to be doing this month. I'm going to be reevaluating a few tools right now in our current tech stack, and I'll be sharing what I'm going to be focusing on in terms of the tools for this particular challenge this week and next. But yeah, those are going to be, and Metrical has got a lot of dashboard metrics associated with it too. So you can kind of see how your content's performing. You can gauge in the DMs on it, and it consolidates a lot of how you're operating and managing your content so you can be more efficient and effective with your time. Canva, as Rachel mentioned, cool to include. How can you utilize Canva in producing content graphics? Certainly, I made a note of that because I know we've got some members of our community that are very proficient in Canva. And we'll have some ways to utilize Canva for taking like things like your micro content that you can generate inside of your buyer's brief, and then uploading those inside of Canva templates to, put some more nicer looking designs into your content schedule. So just a few tools that we'll be using. And it's not going to be a ton of tools that we're going to try and overload like anybody here with. Specifically want to kind of bring the tools that we found are not just kind of fly-by-night AI tools that pop up here and there, but tools that have had a little bit more longevity to them, that they're established a little bit more, and are platforms that could make sense to stay with for a longer while in terms of your business and your content production workflow. Again, like you saw like last week, some updates from Opus on repurposing your content directly that you upload here may or may not remove the need for some other social media scheduling tool. So, a lot of stuff that we're going to learn over the course of the next 30 days, but those are a few tools that I know that have been very useful for members of our community, and myself and others that are in the game of content creation. So that said, we're at the top of our time here, at the top of the hour from our kickoff call for the Omni-Channel Pillar Content Distribution Challenge. Over the course of the next 30 days, we will be leveraging AI to not just create content, but to help us repurpose that content onto different channels, get an omni-channel and omnipresence across our social media, and using that to grow our reach, grow our audience, grow our email lists, and our exposure online to growing our business and making greater impact with the content that we are creating, and the content you've probably already created and want to redistribute out there. So thank you guys for joining us with here live today, and for watching the replay and being a part of this challenge. Make sure you stay tuned into the community, keep an update on the events calendar so you know when our live calls are coming up, but also engaging with the community, sharing what's working for you, and getting involved. This is a very community driven event that would not make sense for us to put on and spend all the time hosting and coordinating and doing these events if you're not going to do anything with the content, which I don't think is the case. But certainly if everyone stopped engaging in the community, then it would tell us that we're not doing something right. And so if you're enjoying the content that we're producing and you like the idea of this challenge and want to be involved, then get involved, then take action, share your results, share your wins, share your challenges, so that we can all help lift each other up. And until the next episode, so to speak, I will see you guys on the other side, inside of the challenge, inside of the Gen AI University community. So keep Common AI on, everybody. See you on the other side. Cheers, y'all.